Hey everyone, it's Friday, July 24th, 2020. Welcome to episode 22 of the Ginger and the Beard podcast.
Let's do this.
What's up, guys? I'm AJ, aka the Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka the Beard.
On this week's show, we'll be drinking some delicious craft beers voted on by you, our audience, talking about a ton of technology news, including new phones, new VR headsets, giant weather balloons, and friendly robots. On top of that, we'll be talking about Joe Rogan's decision not to do voiceover work for EA's UFC 4. Very interesting. And finally, a splash of video game news.
Nice, dude. And yeah, dude, there's so much to cover. I can't wait. But before we dig in, how was your week?
Oh, wow. This has been an interesting long week. As I alluded to, if you guys didn't listen to Tuesday's recording when we talked about just UFC, our second episode of Weigh-Ins, make sure you check that out on YouTube or your favorite podcast player. But I talked about it a little bit on that show. Under the weather since last episode we recorded, and this week's kind of been an up and down roller coaster for the entire family. All of us kind of sick, and finally got to the doctor yesterday, myself and both of my kids. My wife took them to the doctor yesterday as well, and all three of us got swabbed for COVID. Mainly as like a precautionary measure. Like I don't think we actually had that, but I think mine was really just like a sinus infection or something like that. I don't want to get too graphic on the show here, but they just kind of went ahead and swabbed me just to be safe, and same for the kids. But all of us seem to be kind of clearing up a little bit after just some like over-the-counter, behind-the-counter drugs. But yeah, had the kids home all week, so work was interesting. But fortunately, Shayna was able to stay home and work from home as well, so that helped out a lot.
Nice.
Especially like on Wednesday, the day after we recorded, I slept a lot of that day just to kind of recuperate. But
I bet.
yeah, I'm excited to be sitting here recording this episode and hopefully feeling well enough after the episode to do some gaming. So how about you, man?
Hey, so when do you find out if it's like, positive or negative?
They told me that it would be 7 to 10 days, or 7 to 10 or
What?
7 to 14. Yeah, it takes a while. But for the kids, I don't know if it's because they have like a different provider or facility or whatever. Theirs like was expected to be back in 1 to 2 days. So, I mean, obviously, if it comes back and they have it, then it's pretty obvious that I have it and Shayna also probably had it. So, yeah,
That's so
we'll see.
weird.
Yeah, it takes forever. It's like by that time, it's like, well, I don't know. You've probably been places before you even knew you had it. You probably talked to people,
Right.
It sucks that it takes that long.
That's not very efficient. You would think that it would be like 20 minutes later,
Yeah.
Let's take this serious, run it in house, and get the results back immediately. So they probably have to ship it out to like another lab or something to run the. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, hopefully the best. Hopefully it's
Fingers
not
crossed.
that and just some crazy cold or flu or whatever.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. My week's been interesting. Took my dog to the vet earlier to get his teeth cleaned. They have to put him under to do that, so he's been in a weird state all day today. We got a new roof put on our house. We got new gutters put on, and so that's been a 3-day event. And dogs have been like losing their minds over all of that.
I'm sure.
So that's been a lot, but that's done now. And it actually does feel a little bit colder.
Nice.
Our roof wasn't. They didn't put our roof on properly, first off, and then there's not enough insulation up there. So we're actually having insulation put in next week. So instead of it being like scalding hot in my house when we have the AC cranked, it should actually be regulated now. So just a couple dollars to get, your house fixed. Just a couple. No big deal.
Just a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Besides that, we'll see if I'm playing video games tonight, man. Because as you know, running into some issues. I don't know what's going on. My
Some computer
computer's
troubles.
yeah. So if the if the recording cuts out, we'll have to do the rest of it later. But fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
I know, man. That's such a bummer. That's such an issue with computers. It's like they always work until you need them to work, and then they just don't.
Yeah,
But
dude. It's so weird.
hopefully we can get in some Valorant action tonight together.
Yeah, that would be nice. All right, so we're gonna move into our next section soon. But before we do, guys, I want to remind you to follow our show here on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube. Also, subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you really want to help us grow, share this podcast, share this episode with a friend. As always, guys, we appreciate your support, and we're glad you're here. We love doing this. We're happy you're here to watch or listen.
Yes, absolutely.
So, with that being said, I think let's go ahead and move into our first section.
Cool. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Now, hey, here we are.
Oh, we're back.
So, what you drinking? Let's do it.
Yes, welcome to the first segment of our show. What you drinking? Always first, every episode, because that's most important. Get these beers opened. Start to relax a little bit. I'm so excited. I actually
Yes.
haven't had a beer in like 4 days or something like that, which is, not to sound like I'm an alcoholic or something, but usually once a night I'm drinking an IPA or something. But I'm excited about what I got tonight, man. But I want to give a shout out to our voters, as we do each week. Thank you guys for voting on our Instagram. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Check out our stories on Thursdays. We throw up
I'm
a
sorry,
vote
your
for our
face.
beers. I know. I thought if I made like a super weird face, like people would, pay more attention to it or something.
It's awesome.
So yeah, it was between this and a Maple Rock, I think it's how you pronounce it. I'm not really sure, but the Mango Guava Lager from Tradition Brewing won out, not by a landslide, 67% to 33%.
You got to move it to the other side.
Oh, whoops, over here.
There we go.
Boop, boop. Nice
Boom.
little minimalistic can here. Mango Guava Lager from Tradition Brewing. So Tradition Brewing is actually kind of close to home for me, Virginia Beach. They're in Newport News, opened in 2014. I've definitely heard of them, but I believe this is the first beer that I've had from Tradition Brewing, so I'm pretty excited about that. So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open.
Heck yeah.
Now, as I crack it open, I will say it's brewed apparently with some mango guava puree, so I'm kind of expecting a thicker pour. So let's see how this goes. In the official ginger in the beard beer glass.
Boom. There it is. We got a pour happening right now. Nice. Looking good, looking delicious. Look at that tilt. A-class tilt right there. Can't fit it all.
Didn't quite fit it all. So not a thick pour at all, actually. I was expecting, whenever I see puree, I'm like expecting something super, super thick. But let me move this over to the other side again. Being extremely cautious of my keyboard with new keycaps. Yeah, so nice golden color, nice and smooth, not a ton of head at all on there. So definitely getting some tropical vibes off that aroma.
We got to talk about those keycaps, by the way.
Smells sweet. Yeah, I might show those keycaps off in the tech news segment. So I'm going to go and sip this. That's interesting. I was expecting a lot heavier on the fruit with the mango and the guava, but it is, it's malty like a lager should be. And it's just kind of some subtle hints of the mango and the guava in there.
Okay.
Not going to say I'm disappointed, but I was really expecting like heavy fruit flavors in that, but it is very good.
Nice, dude. That's what's
Yeah,
up.
it's actually it's a limited can release. So I did some research. I like to kind of drop a little bit of knowledge here, and also helps me learn a little bit on my own. This is actually a Bavarian lager. So if you've never heard of a Bavarian lager before, which I had not heard of that, I did some research on craftbeerclub.com. So in the 16th century in Germany, Bavarian brewers were required by law to only brew beer in the cooler months of the year, So they were then stored in caves and cellars so they could be ready for the summer. So people would have beer in the summertime. So today's lagers, this one I'm drinking here or whatever your favorite lager may be, are also cool fermented and then they mature in a cool storage. That's kind of where the style lager comes from. And
Okay.
the German word for storeroom is actually lager. So that's where the name comes from. So Bavarian lagers are
What?
actually, yeah, I didn't know that.
Dropping
Some
that knowledge on me.
interesting facts. Bavarian lagers are traditionally brewed with darker malts, which make them darker in color, which is actually why I was a little bit surprised that this is so golden and
Yeah.
yellow in color. So, yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, I like it,
So,
man. Pretty good.
so Bavarian. So it's like a since it's colder. I feel like it would take a little bit longer for it to like mature. So it's like a slow maturation. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
maybe.
All right.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. Yeah, I would definitely say check out Tradition Brewing. I'm excited to kind of try out some more of their beers. Maybe when all this COVID stuff's over, go pay them a visit. So, what about you, man? What are you drinking tonight?
All right, man. So this one's kind of been like long in waiting for me. I need to
Yes.
adjust this real quick because you had mentioned this beer in one of our previous shows. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
drinking shout out to the voters, guys. 75% to 25%. We got O'Connor Brewing Company, Good Vibes. All right, so this is a Gose with pineapple, orange, and guava. So
Oh
we kind of
yeah.
got like similar beers going here tonight, man. I'm loving it. This guy's 5% ABV. We got well, it's not a lager, I guess, but it's got like fruity. I'm going off of the fruitiness. That's why I said that. Anyway, flavors of pineapple, orange, and guava harmoniously collide in this new age take on an old world Ghost style, creating an inner body experience that's truly satisfying. We, as in, I'm talking from O'Connor's point of view here, we procured Atlantic Coast sea salt from our friends at Hatteras Saltworks to craft this slightly salty, sour delight. Really excited about this. Okay, guys,
Check out
check
that
it out.
label.
That's a cool label, right? This is a label that pops. This pops off the shelf, I think. One
Yes.
of these.
Yeah, man, that's super cool.
Yeah, cool elephant. We got good vibes. Good vibes. One thing that's not popping is this cap because I don't have a bottle opener up here.
Oh no.
Um,
Use your
yeah.
teeth.
No, we got this, dude. Actually, yeah, I am just gonna use my teeth.
Oh no, don't
No,
break a
I'm just
tooth on
kidding.
the show.
I have a knife here.
Oh boy, there's gonna be bloodshed on this episode.
Nah, no bloodshed. No bloodshed here.
Did you do it? Did you do it? I'm waiting in anticipation.
We're almost there.
The ginger in the
Boom!
beard, the ginger in the
We
beard
did
does
it.
not endorse using a knife to open your beers. Please don't hurt yourself and then sue us later.
Cap went flying everywhere. All right, guys.
Oh no.
Here we go. We got the trusty Ginger in the Beard glass.
Oh
Sponsored
yes.
by Ginger in the Beard. And let's get this pour going. Oh, yum. Look at that. I gotta make sure I don't hit the keyboard. Wow. That is dense. Man, that
Yeah,
looks
look at
good.
that.
That's what we're looking for right there.
Nice and thick.
The goods. There they are. There's the goods. All right. Let's give that sucker a sip. Oh, dude. You were not lying. Holy crap.
I knew you would like that one.
That's so good. You can definitely, dude, you get every bit of pineapple, orange, and guava. And I don't even know guava that much, but I know that's
For
guava.
sure.
I don't know if I've ever had a Gose that actually, like, had the fruit pronunciation on it that well. So, yeah, dude. Wow. All right, cool. Am I
Glad you
getting,
like it.
I'm not getting
I
a
was,
whole
I
lot of
was,
salt, just a good amount. This is very
yeah.
refreshing, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you like
Alright.
it. We were talking before the show, and I'm like, man, I'm not a huge Gose guy. I'm pretty new in the Gose game, so I'm hoping I'm not leading you in the wrong direction. But I had a feeling you would like that one.
Muggle, if you're watching, we gotta try this. Muggle's my wife. I think we might have to buy some more of this, bro. Yeah, good call on that. Good discovery. Very happy I had a chance to try it.
Yep. So shout out O'Connor. They're in Norfolk, Virginia too, so also very close to home. And also shout out to them. They shared on our story. They shared our post earlier today and gave us a follow. So thank you, O'Connor, and thank you
Thanks,
for the
guys.
delicious beer.
Oh my gosh. Let's get a quick picture.
Oh yeah, beer picture time.
Beer pictures.
All right, ready?
Yeah, good old O'Connor.
Let me make sure I'm in the frame this time.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. It's such good
Love
radio
it,
for you guys in the car driving around.
Good.
We're just like, let's take a picture.
Yeah, that's true. On YouTube now, we're able to use chapters at least. So if you guys want to go check us out on YouTube, you can skip around to the different chapters.
That's right.
Find what means the most to you. Also, give us some feedback. What do you guys want to hear about? If you guys want to hear about UFC or tech or gaming more so than anything else, hit us with that knowledge real quick so that we can maybe start molding a little bit more if we need to, or focusing on different things. We want to please the audience. So,
yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to try and please my own self by talking about some UFC. That sounded weird. That sounded weird.
Let's reverse that one.
Let's rewind that. All right, let's talk about some UFC.
We'll
Ready?
Put that on post.
I'm leaving that in.
Yes, let's go ahead and transition.
All right.
All right.
Hey, UFC Shenanigans. What?
Oh yeah, that UFC Shenanigans. All right, cool. So we had a few stories in the UFC segment this week, but before we get into that, just a quick shout out again for our spin-off series, we're calling it Weigh-Ins, which is our UFC 100% UFC dedicated spin-off of this podcast. It happens on Tuesday nights. We recap the fight nights that have passed. They're 3 days old at that point, and we also give our predictions and kind of looks ahead at the fights coming up. So this past Tuesday, we talked about the fights that are happening this weekend. We also recapped some of the fights that had just happened. So make sure you check that out, and subscribe to us on YouTube, like we mentioned a minute ago, so you see the new episodes. All right,
hit that bell.
Yep. So starting out here, Henry Cejudo takes the top of our list again. Henry Cejudo manages to keep his
never
name
ends
in the spotlight. So he's come out and asked Dana White publicly on Twitter for a fight with Volkanovski. So you can see here on the screen right now is his tweet. Sent directly to Dana White. He basically says, "Allow me to make history, Dana. I promise I will make the featherweight division great." So he's speaking in response to Funky, who is Ben Askren, who says that I can't really see it on there, but
come on, let's do Henry Cejudo versus Alexander Volkanovski. Why not? At Dana White at UFC.
Yep. So he's not the only one. Henry's not the only one who wants that fight to happen. There's definitely some fans out there and some fighters who want to see it happen. But I was like reading into his tweet a little bit. Allow me to make the featherweight division great. My question is the featherweight division not great as it is?
It's pretty great, man. I mean, isn't it like one of the better divisions right now? Like,
I would say so. I mean, like, I think my favorite divisions right now are like bantamweight and welterweight.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But like this one's definitely like in like the top 50% probably, rather than the other side of it. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we've got some big names in the featherweight division, and some that I could see being title contenders after a couple more fights. Obviously, we've got some folks who've been around for a long time. We've got the Korean Zombie. We've got Brian Ortega, who are both still ranked relatively high. Yep. But then we've got guys like Yair Rodriguez and Calvin Kattar, who maybe after a couple more wins under their belt could definitely see themselves up higher.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget about Zabit, good old Abraham Lincoln over there,
Yep. Yeah, he's ranked number 2, I believe, in that division.
And
A
I
lot
mean,
of
you
people
got,
don't think that he would be able to take on Volkanovski, just I think because their fighting style. But it's possible.
I think with more experience and more conditioning, maybe. But I I agree. But yeah, I mean, those names right there, like those are. I mean, that's a pretty good weight class, dude. I like that weight class. It's got some competition. Can't wait to see Brian Ortega come back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so Volkanovski, I think he's obviously been hearing the talk from Cejudo, and I was reading some stuff earlier today where he's basically like, I want to defend my belt, which he just did, obviously against Max Holloway, against some number one contenders, and make this division, make this division great in itself by, him defending the belt, um, and bringing some of those guys up rather than bringing Cejudo out of retirement, automatically getting the title shot. But he said something like, if they're going to do that, then we need to be compensated for such. So,
Yeah,
basically, if they pay, and obviously Cejudo doesn't want to come back in and risk going out on a loss. You know what I mean?
right.
Unless there's some money behind that. So interesting stuff. I mean, what what fan would not want to see that fight happen? So
A little
we'll see
risky
we'll
for
see what they
little
do.
Cejudo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be an amazing fight if they ever did that.
I think so. My opinion is I think Cejudo's too small to go against Alexander's a pretty big guy, man. I mean, he's short, but he's like pretty stocky. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
I would love to see that fight. So yeah, fingers crossed. Dana,
Yep.
do it, Dana, do it, Dana.
Yep. So, and Cejudo is not the only one that people are trying to get out of retirement. Kamaru Usman's actually talking about wanting a fight with GSP. So, in a much less vicious way than Cejudo. Obviously, they're two completely different personalities. Kamaru kind of like respectfully called out GSP, and he's like, GSP was and is one of the greatest welterweights of all time. Kamaru wants to have that perception as well. He wants to be considered one of the best welterweights of all time. So he's like, you know what? Why not bring GSP out of retirement? That currently both of them they're tied right now for the most consecutive wins at welterweight. So he's like, why not put me in there against GSP? And let's make that happen. But GSP, he's 39 years old. He's been retired for a couple of years. He came out of retirement once already, and I think he defeated. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on that now. Oh, Michael Bisping came back and beat Michael Bisping.
Yep. Yep.
But at this point, he's like, you know what? I don't want to be one of those guys who waited too long to retire. And he's just kind of like he's sticking to his guns and he's going to stay in retirement. He put out an official statement on that. But that would definitely be an interesting fight.
But like, waited too long to retire, bro. You didn't wait long enough to retire, GSP. You should still be fighting right now. You should have never retired.
It's definitely some guys like in their 40s, but I mean, I guess, only what your body can handle. And if you feel like you're kind of on the edge, you don't want to push it too far. I can definitely respect that. And obviously going out on top instead of being one of those guys who's like, nah, I'm going to keep fighting. Some of the greatest fighters of the world, even in like boxing, Muhammad Ali, fought for too long, it's just they start to go downhill, they start to lose and they don't want to go out on a loss. So they come back, they keep getting beat up, so
Right.
I can respect that decision.
Yeah, and it's very possible that he might have went on a losing streak or something and probably wouldn't have the recognition that he has right now. So very strategical from his perspective, So good on him for that. I don't think I want to see that fight actually because I don't think he could beat. I don't know, man. I don't know if he could beat Cabrera's scary, man. I don't know. I'm not sure
Really
who's
is.
going to beat him.
Yeah,
it's going to be another John Jones, thing for like 5 years where Kamara's just going to be, running the table. Unless I'm, sleeping on Gilbert right now. We'll see.
I saw an article. I didn't actually read it. I'm too like put off by Tyron Woodley right now to like even listen to what he's got to say. But
oh gosh,
I saw an article today where Tyron Woodley's like, here's how many ever reasons that Kamaru should be afraid of Gilbert Burns or something like that. And I was like, are you saying that because you got drug around by Gilbert Burns for 5 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it was? Yeah, I don't know.
Jeez, dude. That's probably why he's saying it. I still want to see the Colby versus I think Tyrone might be a little bit afraid to fight Colby. Because I mean, what Colby's been doing, I mean, he put up a way better fight than Tyrone did. Tyrone
Oh yeah.
he's been getting destroyed.
You mean
So
like he actually put up a fight? Period.
yeah, he actually fought, and then
He actually tried.
Tyrone just didn't. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
So GSP, like we said, sitting that out, but somebody else is sitting out on something related to UFC, but it's Joe Rogan. I saw this, and at first I was kind of concerned. I'm like, are we losing Joe Rogan in the UFC? But no, it's just related to the UFC video game. So Joe Rogan has officially put out a statement, or EA actually, I believe, did put out a statement saying that Joe Rogan's voice will not be heard in the upcoming EA's UFC 4. So he's been in the 3 leading up to it. He's been in other UFC video games that weren't created by EA. Obviously, he's one of the most iconic voices when it comes to commentating. Used to do every single fight night, every single pay-per-view. Now he's tailored it down to, first it was just only pay-per-views. Now it's only North American pay-per-views. So his presence is getting farther and fewer between. Um, I think that's just because he's got a lot going on, obviously, in his comedic career, his podcast, all this stuff going on around in the world, and he's kind of sticking to North America. Um, but yeah, he's decided that he's not going to be in this next video game. He's apparently, I was reading into this, he's always openly admitted that he hates doing it, literally hates doing it.
oh wow.
He's told EA, he's been transparent with them from the beginning that he hates doing it, and it's nothing against EA or the game or the sport. It's just that he does not like being in a recording booth for hours on end, just reading line after line after line, fighter name after fighter name after fighter name. I can only imagine how long it actually takes to record that stuff, because you have to like call out what's happening in the fight, you
Yeah.
know, specific strikes, specific ground positions, and it probably takes forever.
And he's got that FU money now, so it's like,
Exactly.
why would he, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
if they're not
So,
gonna pay him enough they're not gonna pay him enough to be a commentator on that thing. So
right. Yep. So in his place, DC will be the main voice alongside John Anik. So we'll be hearing Daniel Cormier. Um, Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how to handle this, but if you choose to fight as DC in the game, will DC also commentate that fight? That'll be interesting.
interesting question. DCception.
They might have to pull in Paul Felder or Dominic Cruz to record some lines to sub in for those fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay. I want to see that. I'm probably not gonna play the game. Who knows? Maybe. But I'm not gonna judge Joe Rogan on that, dude. I think if he's getting paid what the fighters are getting paid, then it's not very much.
Yeah, they probably pay him way more than the fighters.
I mean,
Um,
I don't think he would do it unless he was getting the cheddar, right?
yeah, I mean, obviously he's got a passion for the sport, and like you said, he's got that FU money. He doesn't really need to make a bunch of extra money, so who knows? But anyways, nonetheless, I thought that was interesting. So
Cool.
DC getting some spotlight in the UFC video game. I'm excited to check that out.
Nice. Good for DC. All right. Well, I don't have any extra UFC news, man. I mean, we got a fight coming up tomorrow. We talked about it last Tuesday.
Yep.
Very excited to see it. Darren Till versus Robert Whitaker.
Oh yeah.
When you guys are listening to this podcast, the fight might have already happened, so you'll know the results. But at this point in time, we're very excited to watch it, and
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
I can tomorrow. Make sure. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
busy, but
Just one last plug before we transition to our next segment. I said it on Tuesday. I'll say it again. Check out our new forum on the website, thegingerandthebeard.com. Hit the forum tab at the top. We've got a UFC Shenanigans thread in there where we're asking you guys, and we'll be participating on there as well, putting up our fight predictions and fight recaps and thoughts and things like that. So I'd love to know what you guys think, who's going to take the win on some of those. And like you said, the fights, by the time you listen to this, those fights will have already happened, but make sure you throw in your predictions for the next upcoming fight night.
absolutely. Let us know, guys. So I think we're gonna go ahead and talk about some tech, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey, time to talk about some technology. What do you got for us?
Technology news. All right, cool. So I got a couple of interesting phone-related topics. We haven't talked about any new phones in a while because that sort of news usually happens later in the year in the fall months. But OnePlus, I think we're all familiar with who OnePlus is. They used to manufacture not lower end, higher end performing devices at lower cost. But here recently, they've gotten into the higher end game, specifically with their latest OnePlus 8. It was like, I believe, $800 for one of the middle range models. So their price is kind of going higher and higher and getting closer to like Samsung and Apple. And people aren't really excited about that. But they recently officially announced it on July 21st, the OnePlus Nord, which you are seeing here on the screen. I didn't really research to figure out where that name came from, um, but anyways, so this phone is very similar to what you'd find in the OnePlus 8. It's got 6 cameras. The sensor actually comes directly from the OnePlus 8. It's got a Snapdragon 765G, which is actually a 5G capable chip. So whenever 5G is actually ready, the OnePlus Nord will be able to take advantage of those bands. It's a 90 hertz display, which is not the highest refresh rate on a phone, but it's not the lowest either. iPhone 11 actually is 60 hertz, but the S20 Plus, Samsung's latest flagship model, is 120 hertz. And yeah, I can tell you, you definitely can see a difference when you're scrolling on your 60 hertz display and you move up to something double the refresh rate. In addition to that, it's got dual selfie cameras, one that's an ultra wide, and the feature that I'm most interested in is the warp charge. It charges the phone 70% in 30 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, so depending on battery life, I will just say really quickly, my iPhone 11, literally this happened to me this week, took me through 2 full days of usage on one charge because I accidentally did not charge it overnight, and then I just went the whole next day without charging it, and I made it through and still wasn't even in the red. So depending on what their battery life is, you may not ever need to charge the thing that fast, but in the case that you do, you got some pretty fast charging there. So here's where it gets interesting, the pricing, because like I said, the OnePlus used to be the flagship killer. The OnePlus One, the original OnePlus phone, was marketed as a flagship killer in that it had flagship specs or close to flagship specs at a much lower price. If I remember correctly, I believe the starting price of the OnePlus One was somewhere around $300. So comparing that to, of that time, probably $600-700 phones, um, it was definitely a good sell. So the price for this phone is starting around $480 for the U.S. market, and that's
That's
for
really good.
yeah, and that's for 8 gigabytes of RAM, 120 gigabytes of storage. I would say that storage is not that great, 128 gigs, but if you want some more, you can get a 12 gigabyte RAM version, which is a lot of RAM for a phone, with 256 gigabytes of storage. That one's gonna be priced at $590. So here's the kicker, though. It sounds almost too good to be true. And for us here in the States, it is because the phone is not set to release in the United States, unfortunately.
What?
Yeah, this one, as part of their strategy, according to the OnePlus executives, to get back to offering lower cost phones, or more affordable devices, they're slated to release this in the UK and 27 other European countries on August 4th. I believe it'll also be released in India, if I remember correctly. Um, but after they've rolled out into the European states or European countries, they're apparently going to start looking into releasing back into the United States. So no official release date, no official word that this will be coming to the US, but there is a possibility. So a little bit of a bummer there. The OnePlus 8T will be coming, I believe, later this year to the United States. But again, that OnePlus 8 series is the more expensive, higher cost premium model, that we can expect to be, cost similar to, what the Samsung flagships and things like that cost. So kind of unfortunate if you're looking for a nice budget phone, but there are other options out there. But thought we'd throw that out there for you guys.
So it makes sense why they call it the Nord. Um, So do you know what a Nord is?
I do not.
Okay, so real quick, basically, so it being Europe is why I'm saying, it's makes sense why they would do that. So a Nord, if you ever played the game Elder Scrolls, right? Then you probably know what a Nord is. A Nord is an actual word, though. It's in that game they use it as a descriptor for a character class, which is typically like a very large, fair-haired, pale skin, large, like Viking-esque type of character. But in reality, it is more tied to the northern areas like Norway and whatnot, and it's typically related to blonde, blue-eyed, tall, fair-skinned folks of Celtic or Viking descent or whatnot. So it
Interesting.
being only released in European countries is probably why they went with Nord, I think.
There we go. There you have it.
Who knows? That's probably it though.
Yeah, that definitely could be it for sure. So interesting. I mean, hopefully they get back to whether it's the Nord or whether it's another option that comes out later, for the United States, they get back to this budget, space because not everyone can afford $1,000 iPhone or a $1,200 Samsung phone, whatever it is. It would be nice to have some options out there. Maybe it does have like a plastic build or some it doesn't have the greatest cameras, but you do get flagship level specs for a lower cost. So come back to us with some cheaper phones, OnePlus. That's where your
Yeah,
niche is.
come on, OnePlus, help us out here.
Yeah. So moving on from that, something else that's got an interesting new name. Corning, which is the maker of Gorilla Glass, introduced the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, which is their latest iteration of their um, what's typically used on phone devices, their glass. So you're seeing it here on the stream. It looks like a piece of glass on a phone. It's nothing
Yeah.
special, but the benefits are in the metrics, right? So Gorilla Glass is currently on Gorilla Glass 6. They've been the ones who producing the screens for the iPhone since the original iPhone, and also a lot of the other flagship devices that Samsung uses and things like that. Um, so the kicker here is that the Victus has 2 times the scratch resistance of Gorilla Glass 6, which is, obviously a plus. But more so than that, it can survive drops from 2 meters as opposed to 1.6 meters of the Gorilla Glass 6. So essentially, that's an extra foot. So it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you think about how most people drop their phones as they pull it out of their pocket, or if it slides off a countertop or a desk, something like that. Obviously, these incremental increases in drop resistance make a big difference. Um, and they did all of this without sacrificing the thinness of the glass. So we are very likely to see this used on upcoming flagships. Probably some announced at the end of this year. So very interesting news in the phone arena. Always great to see some improvement in the durability of these devices.
Pretty cool. I actually had some Gorilla Glass at one point, and I remember I did drop my phone, and luckily I had the Gorilla Glass on there. The Gorilla Glass shattered, but my phone did not. And
Oh, so it's like an adhesive like stick on.
yeah, it was an adhesive stick on. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Gorilla Glass. I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. And the Gorilla Glass did shatter. Um, but it didn't break the screen. So I think
Interesting.
it kind of uh it kind of served its purpose, and then I went and bought another one, and I never dropped it, and it lasted the whole time. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, so
some
it kind of made me. I was like, why don't they have like phones at this point that are just like completely shatterproof? I mean, I guess that's kind of hard to do when you have such a thin piece of glass on your phone. There have been some like shatterproof phones from Motorola. I think the Droid Turbo 2 way back in the day, and maybe even some of their newer phones have something. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's basically some adhesive layer or adhesive lens that they stick on top of the phone screen, which actually absorbs the impact of the drops and things like that, and will never shatter. You can scratch it and you can make dents on it, but it never shatters. I think the sacrifice there is the feel of the actual screen. Like if you're someone like me, like I like my screen. I hate using screen protectors, even the glass ones, because it never feels the same as like an OEM screen where your finger just kind of glides across it so effortlessly.
Yeah.
That's probably what you sacrifice with some of those Motorola flagships that have the shatterproof screens.
Yeah, I could see that, and I agree, man. I don't think like I think it might be like a I don't want to say like a scam, but it's like a you know, it's a way for them to keep the phones from lasting for a really long time. Somebody drops it and it's broken, and now you got to go buy a new phone, so it
Yep.
keeps the revenue coming in. So, why would they fix it, right? It's just like we found out about the updates, right? After 2 years the batteries, I think
Yeah.
iPhone came out or Apple came out and admitted that they were basically scuffing the phones after 2 years, so that you'd have to go buy a new one.
Yeah,
So,
they did. They got in big trouble for that too. And what they were doing was throttling the CPU on older phones, intentionally. So, but they came out. Their
yep,
response to that was, "Oh, well, we're doing that because your older phones.
battery life,
It's not.
yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to optimize for battery life, so we're throttling down the CPU, and now you have an option where you can like disable that in your iPhone." So I think they got in big trouble for that actually. So
Yeah.
moving on from that, we've got some friendly robot news that I think some of you guys might be excited about. I was excited when I saw this. If you guys have never heard of Jibo, we're going to throw a video up on the screen. It was officially announced in 2014 as an Indiegogo campaign looking for funding. And finally, after people, supported the Indiegogo campaign, it launched in 2017 and everyone's super excited to get their Jibo robots. Um, but a year ago, it was actually announced that it was on its end of life course. So something went south with the company that produced Jibo. Um, I guess they ran out of money or whatever the case was, and they could no longer support the device. So these little friendly robots that had gotten attached to, or have come to know and love, essentially was telling them like, hey, after this certain date, I'm no longer going to be able to serve you. And all these people were
Oh.
super bummed out. But there's a positive, happy ending to the story. There's a company called NTT Disruption who has now purchased the rights to Jibo, and they'll be giving it some new life, but in a B2B setting. So anybody who has a Jibo right now will continue to have support for the device. It will continue to function and get updates and things like that. But NTT Disruption's plan is to bring this robot into different settings like children's hospitals, with veterans, lonely elderly folks, and give the device to those people who kind of require that sort of emotional connection with the device, rather than somebody like me who just needs a Google Home that can show what the forecast is going to be for the week. Um, so they have like a new kind of take on how this could be used, and the data is going to be secure. So it doesn't you don't have to worry about what you're talking to it about. And not only that, but they're going to create a virtual version of Jibo, so that not only does this moving robot thing serve as your little friendly assistant, but you can take Jibo on the go with you on your phone or tablet or whatever the case may be. They're going to produce basically just a software version of it that you can install on other devices. So I thought that was super cool, and I think if you watch some of the promo videos for Jibo, you can see that obviously for kids, this is going to be a big hit because they can kind of get attached to these sort of things. So pretty cool to see that company coming in and finding another use case for it.
Yeah, man, this is really cool. I always have trouble with, you know, my little robots. I got the Google, I got the Amazon ones, and I sometimes when you try and communicate and ask them for things, they're like really laggy or whatnot. But I mean, this one's very like wholesome and sweet, and I just feel like this would be just like a nice addition to the house because I just feel like it would kind of like liven things up. And if you were in a sad mood, you just go ahead and look at Jibo, and And he's just hanging out there and just like, chilling and throw some music on. And he's dancing and,
Yep.
squinting and blinking. And it just
Making little
seems like a
faces at
very
you.
cheerful thing to have around.
Yeah, exactly. I could see just having kids. I could see them sitting and talking to Jibo all day long, and I'm like, all right, I gotta turn Jibo off. Beep, power down.
Yeah. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, you and I were talking before the show about the Anki Vector robot. If you guys haven't ever seen that, I definitely recommend you look it up. It's essentially this little tiny robot that's probably, I don't know, maybe like 4 inches by 3 inches or something, and he's on like motorized tracks, and he can drive around on your desktop, and has like
Yeah.
drop sensors and things like that, so he won't roll off the table, but does kind of the same thing. Makes like little emotional faces on its screen, and can take pictures for you. So super cool stuff out there. But it costs like $250 to buy that thing. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Wally.
excited,
Wally
excited,
and
yeah, excited to see Jibo get a little breath of new life. So
me too, man.
good for you,
Hopefully,
Jibo.
let's see what else comes with the future here. All
Yes.
right. So, I got a little bit of news too. First off, real quick, NASA is going to be flying a football stadium sized high altitude balloon to study light from newborn stars. Whoa.
Oh,
So it's called Asthros. I think it's called Asthros. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Asthros. I think it might be Asthros or
I
it's
think that's
Astros.
the name of Kanye West's latest rap album. Astros.
Asthros? Astros.
Astros.
Which stands for Astrophysics Stratospheric Telescope for High Spectral Resolution Observations at Submillimeter Wavelengths. Say that 10 times
That's
fast.
exactly what I thought it stood for.
Yeah, it just makes sense. So, their goal is to create the first detailed 3D maps of the density, speed, and motion of gas. I don't know. This might be boring to some people, but I think this is pretty cool. 3D maps of density, speed, and motion of gas. Bring it on, bro. I want to see it.
So what do we
So
do with
it's
that information?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure they'll find something to do with it to understand how gas works. Maybe I'm not sure, but it's set to take off from Antarctica in December of 2023, and it's going to be in the air for 3 to 4 weeks. So maybe 10 years from now, we'll know what they did with it.
I'd imagine
uh,
if this thing is the size of a football field.
the
I
balloon
wonder.
is huge.
Yeah, I wonder how far away you could see this thing from.
Um, so it's not going to be outside of our atmosphere. Um, so I feel like I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it with the naked eye because there's not going to be any lights on it or anything like that. There might be some reflective nature to the telescope that's attached to it. So basically, it's a giant football-sized balloon with a telescope attached to it, and then the telescope's doing all of the work. Um,
Nice.
so it's got some jets on it, some motorization. It'll drop out of the sky with a parachute when it's all said and done.
I
Um,
was gonna say,
so
like, do they attach a note to it, and like once it deflates and like it floats back to Earth, it's just like,
for
please return to NASA.
this address,
Yeah,
call this number if this balloon lands in your tree.
yeah.
Um, that would be funny. So, uh, yeah, I think they're gonna. I think it would be cool. I can't wait to find out what they learn by visually seeing the density, speed, and motion of gas. Maybe this is the next steps towards light speed. Who knows, man?
Who knows? Definitely could be.
20 years from now, man. 20 years, light speed. What's
Yeah.
up? All right. So enough kidding around. Oculus Quest 2 image has been revealed. Oculus Quest 2, guys. So me and my VR. Showing the image on the screen right now. It's all white, which is
Oh,
very interesting, very sleek. There's certainly more images that you can go look up online. We'll share a link. You can go to vrfocus.com and check out possible Oculus Quest 2 images. And it's basically showing it. It looks like some of them have been created already. They're real. I feel like they're probably prototypes and somebody has leaked the photos, but it's a reputable source, and they've revealed that September 15th is going to be the release date, or at least that's what they expect, which coincides with the release of Oculus Connect 7. Um, so it's a reputable source. I don't know if it's legit or not, but what do you guys think? Are you gonna buy one of these? Do you want to fiddle around with one? You know, I think it'd be. I certainly want one. You know, and I want to know the specs. What did they change? What's good? What's better?
Yeah,
What's gonna make me buy one of these? So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. What are do we know the specs yet?
nothing.
Interesting decision to go with white. I can tell you just
Yeah.
from having a white Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller, your hands are actually way grimier than you think. So after
Right.
handling those white controllers for a long time and that headgear and sweating in that bad boy, might be showing some signs of distress not too long after purchase.
Yeah, after a year or so of using this thing, it's gonna be all gunky, and you're gonna have to like wipe it. Ugh, that's gross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, so they did get a glimpse of the lenses that are inside of it. It's not shown in this picture, but from what people can tell, they're different lenses than what we're typically you know, seeing. And I can't remember the name. I think it's stereoscopic lenses that are like concave. I think is the right word. Actually, it's I think it's convex. The ones that are thick in the middle and then thin towards the edges, which I believe is
Hmm.
convex. But these lenses look a little bit different, so I'm not sure. Maybe they found some new technology for the lenses. Um, but I guess we'll find out. Hopefully, Facebook and Oculus come out with some information for us soon.
Yeah, super cool.
So moving on, you know, this kind of ties in. We talk about Epic Games every week, right? We're not in our gaming section yet, but I want to bring this up real quick. Epic Games is not all about gaming. Like they're like pretty big players in like the software world right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this video up real quick. They have this program called Mega Grants. So I think you guys will probably find this video interesting. Sorry, you guys at home. I'll explain it to you here in a second. Um, the program provides financial assistance to a wide range of software projects, and it's pledged more than 42 million to more than 600 recipients so far. 42 million pledged just for some research and development stuff to third-party
Wow.
developers. So this latest round includes support for medical training simulations for Orama VR, deep motion VR avatar tracking, which is what you're seeing here, Faraday's Magnets by Science VR, and a photogrammetry project called Zen Universe by ZenArt VR. So there's a link to these videos in the description as well. You can go to uploadvr.com/epic megagrants avatar magnet and see some of these videos. There's plenty of videos to watch. And what we're seeing on screen right now is this girl. She's got a head-mounted display on. She's got some controllers. Looks like she's using an index, and she's walking around in a virtual setting right now. And there's a couple boxes, and there's a hanging bag. And what it's showing basically is that not only is her head movement and her hand movement being captured, but her space in the room, you know, spatially is being captured. And as her body moves, it's recognizing that her body is bouncing into a bag, right? So it would make sense if it recognizes your hands because that's the controllers. But for your body just to be moving the bag without the controllers needed, that is new. That's new technology. And for it to also recognize that you're sitting down on a stool or whatnot, like actually shows your character sitting down, which some might say, yeah, okay, well that's probably already possible, but it's like a more manual type of sit down. This is like you see the character actually doing like a sitting down animation rather than just like the manual, oh, I'm just squatting kind of deal. Like they sit down and they perform an animation which tells you that the software recognizes that somebody has sat down. Um,
Right.
Love this, man. This is my jam, dude. That's what I'm all about right here.
That's super cool, man. The
Yeah.
only, the only, I feel like the only challenge that I still would need to overcome. It's like you need some haptics. Like it's showing her pushing that hanging bag with her shoulder. Obviously, she doesn't have any haptic feedback on her arm.
Right.
Um, so is it like a bodysuit you need to wear to like feel, feel when you bump into something like to get full immersion? Obviously, I don't think they have that technology out yet, but it seems like we're getting there.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about that. You know the robotic fabric that I was talking about the other day?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
just imagine like a haptic suit that not only had like vibrators in it so that it would like, pulse you basically if something negative happened, but if you were like moving into that bag, that robotic fabric would start to inflate basically
Yeah.
to simulate you pushing into the bag, right?
Yep.
So it's like you have all of these different sources um, and a lot of potential between all of these different sources. So if you bring it all together, you have like a very realistic virtual setting. So thought that was cool, man.
Very cool. Super cool.
Yeah. So that's all I had. Got some pretty cool tech stuff we talked about today. Very happy about that, guys. Check out the links. And let's go ahead and move into our last segment here. Let's talk about some video game news, man. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Gaming grind, here we are. Guys, I got a little bit of news for you. Our weekly little breakdown of Epic Games. As you can see on screen, we got 2 free games this week. We got Next Up Hero, which is originally a $20 game. It's an action RPG, hand-drawn heroes that hack, slash, bongo, drum, boomerang, and jet their way through ventures. Choose your hero and start rolling dungeons, gearing out, and maxing your stats. That's a nice little wholesome little game. Kind of cool little hand-drawn graphics. Just a cute little game, free
Interesting.
55, It's not
Free
multiplayer.
99. Oh, it's
Yeah, free
not. That's
99.
lame.
I
That's
know,
super
yeah.
lame.
So I was trying to see if I could find anywhere that indicated that it was multiplayer, and I could not find anything indicating that it was multiplayer. So I'm going under an assumption right now that it's single player. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I might. It might, if my computer works for me later, I might download it. But anyway, and the other game is Tacoma, which is another 1999 game. It's a first-person adventure. An abandoned space station, a mysterious AI, and you, the crew of Lunar Transfer Station Tacoma, were going about their workday lives when disaster threw them into chaos. Discover what fate awaits them in Fulbright's bold and innovative follow-up to Gone Home. A note on that, Gone Home was a really fun game. I actually played that game thoroughly. It was like one of those story kind of discovery kind of detective type of games where you like walk through a house and
Yeah.
you like pick up a piece of paper and it gives you a little bit of information, and then you go into the next room and there's like a some kind of game that you have to play to get to the next section of the game. Not a riddle. What am I thinking about? Not a maze.
A puzzle?
What are they? A puzzle, yeah. You do like a puzzle. They have brain fart, man. All that O'Connor's in my system. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be kind of one of those like puzzle adventure type of games, where it's not very challenging. I wouldn't say, but there's a lot of story. It's driven by the
Yep.
story. So, yeah, man, cool stuff.
Well, if
Gotta
it's
love
anything
that.
like Gone Home, I remember looking at Gone Home because that game was free not too long ago. It was probably like a month or so ago, and I looked at playing it, and I was like, yeah, this looks too creepy for me.
Oh, it's not creepy at all, man. It's just
You're like
it's
you're like walking through a dark house, and your family has disappeared. And you're like having to look at pictures of like these families by like lamplight, and I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like
yeah,
with a
dude.
set with the right music and like a cat walks across your feet or something,
Could be
I'd probably.
scary.
I'm a kind of a chicken when it comes to stuff like that.
Oh, dude, I've played like 2 scary games in my life and I'm done. No more scary games. But Gone Home wasn't scary, I didn't think. you know, it was kind of just like, I don't know, just like
Mysterious.
secretive and mysterious. Yeah, that's a good description for it. So last but not least, guys, G4. Who remembers G4?
I
I
do.
certainly do.
I love G4.
So I'm showing you guys a teaser trailer right now. G4 Network will return in 2021 somehow. G4 was a television network that launched in 2002 and shuttered in 2014. It's probably best known for shows like X Play and Attack of the Show. I'm showing the trailer right now on screen, so if you want to come check us out on YouTube, you'll find it in the Gaming Grind section. There's no specific details of the return, but there was a 1 minute teaser at San Diego's Comic Con. And just if you're if you just want to get a quick description of what's happening in the video, a camera pans through a dark warehouse until it comes onto a video game of Pong being played on a CRT television. The TV screen glitches and displays the words incoming transmission before the camera flies through a very 2009 era animation of zooming through internet wires that eventually resolves to the G4 logo. The year 2021 appears on the screen, followed by the aforementioned tagline. So, what do you think about that, man? I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I was trying to remember. I remember watching a ton of G4 when I was a kid because I had some like sleeping issues when I was a kid. Like I could not sleep to save my life. It was like insomnia almost. So I remember watching G4 like late at night. And Attack of the Show was one of the ones that I watched. Where
Yeah.
I can't really remember what exactly they did on the show, but I remember Olivia Munn and Kevin Pereira being the hosts of that. And obviously Olivia Munn went on to do a bunch of stuff, but Kevin Pereira I think ended up doing like these weird sort of like comedy clip shows, I believe. But I'll be interested in seeing who they come or what shows they come back with. Number one, and number two, who will be the hosts on these shows? Will it be any of the old
Yeah.
shows that we've known, or will it be just brand new stuff?
I will
But no,
say that,
I think this is great.
but I think it's great. But I will say that both of those hosts actually had Twitter posts saying that they had no idea. They were both caught off guard by this, and no one had reached out to them to discuss
Interesting.
it, or So I don't expect that they will be you know recurring. I don't think that they'll be coming back. They'll probably find some different individuals to come in and host it. So sad as that is, you would think that they would at least get a little shout out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you know if is there any other video game like centric TV channels at this point?
Not
I
that I
can't
know
think of
of.
any.
I mean,
Yeah. I
how
mean,
could
like,
they how,
it,
how could they
and
compete with YouTube?
yeah. Well, I mean, like in an age where like, ESPN is showing competitive gaming and stuff like that. Like, you would think that we would have a network that's dedicated to competitive gameplay, competitive Overwatch, stuff like that. And then just like video game news. I mean, like we've talked about it on multiple episodes in the past of how much money video gamers are playing or spending, how much money the game
Yeah.
industry is bringing in, period, how it's trumping like television sales and, movies or box office sales, like stuff like that. It's kind of a shock that this hole hasn't already been filled with someone else, because
Oh,
clearly
and
there's an immense amount of interest in the industry, right?
yeah, man, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, I think that they're missing out on an opportunity potentially, but there's a reason why G4 shut down, and I don't think they were getting enough. You know, I I think it was probably the fact that it wasn't available on enough different like platforms or services, right? Because I
Yeah,
remember like it was originally available to like the public. I think it was like just built into most packages, and then like at some point I was never able to get it again, and I
right.
don't know why. So
Yeah, I
that being
definitely.
said, good.
I think it got to a point where it was only available in like the higher up cable packages. Um,
Right.
and also I just think back in the day, like even in 2014, I'm trying to think back to like how that relates to me. At that point, I didn't even know it was around that long, to be honest. I'm a sophomore in college at that point. Um, but yeah, I mean, even at that point, video games weren't nearly as popular as they are right now. You didn't have millionaire streamers back in that point. You
Right.
didn't have these giant video game
Competitions.
competitions. So I think maybe that network just could have been a little bit ahead of its time. But now, I feel like it could definitely be successful as long as it's distributed well, easily accessible, and things like that.
Yeah, man. I agree 100% with that. I think that if they just put it on, like, if they just made it available to everybody, they're going to make tons of money with like ad revenue, because there's going to be like everybody's going to watch it. I feel like a lot of people are just going to watch it because, we talked about the numbers, man. There's, I think it was like 35% of the world are going to play video games this year. Actually,
Sounds right.
I think it was either 35 or 65. I can't remember. But 35 is enough, dude. 35% of the world playing video games. Come on now. That's a lot
Yeah.
of people. A lot of
Oh
people.
yeah. Lots and lots of people.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm excited for that. Let's do these shout outs. Let's shout some folks out.
Let's do it.
All right. Be right back. And we're back.
All right. Welcome to the last segment of our show, shout outs and social plugs. Or shout outs and sign offs. I can't read good. So anyways, yeah, we've been doing this for a few weeks now, guys. We're sharing the love with some podcasters that we've been networking with and trying to help people grow their shows just like we're trying to grow our show. So shouting out here one podcast in particular that we've been listening to this past week and have really enjoyed. It's called Film on the Rocks. I found them on Instagram, and their podcast is available on Apple Podcasts. So I would say go check them out there. It's hosted by two guys named Levi and Brucker. They review and discuss movies, new and old. The episode that I listened to last was about Remember the Titans. Man, it took me a minute to think about that. And they essentially just give historical context to the movies, behind the scenes info, and along the way they develop drinking rules for the movie. So they get into a segment where they're like, okay, well, for that Remember the Titans episode in particular, they're like, every time the coach yells a specific line, you take a drink, or whenever the daughter of the coach freaks out about a play, you take a drink, or whenever there's a musical scene, you take a drink. So it's kind of fun to listen to it, and then if you want to play along with that, you can go watch the movie and then play along with their drinking rules. And then after that, it's just really have great production quality, and it's super easy to listen to. So I definitely recommend to give that a try. Go subscribe to them. Let them know that the Ginger and the Beard sent you, and let us know what you think of their show.
Absolutely, dude. That's awesome. Oh man, that sounds so cool. I
Yeah, it's
want
really fun.
I
Really
want
fun
some
to listen
film.
to.
I want some film on the rocks. I
And
want
I think
some.
that's the shout out that we've got for this week. So if you guys have any recommendations for us, please let us know.
Yeah, guys, let us know. Absolutely. Um, and we'll check them out. Shout out your own podcast or video. Wherever you have your show, let us know and we'll give it a peek and maybe mention you guys here. So, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And just in closing, I just got to say it again. Make sure to drop a follow here on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube, and subscribe on your favorite podcast. Tell a friend. Help us out. We appreciate your support, and we're glad you're here. Thank you guys
Yes.
so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Please check us out. Come back on Tuesday to see our spinoff series weigh-ins where we talk about UFC. Check out our website, thegingerandthebeard.com, especially the forum section. We're trying to build that up a little bit. And yeah, we just want to hear what you guys think of our show and engage with you guys and get to know everyone. So please reach out. We'd love to say hi.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go try and fix my computer now.
Yes, I'm going to wait for you to fix your computer so we can play some games.
Let's do it. All right, guys.
All right.
Signing off. Take care.
See you guys.